Welcome to Atrashi Hinode by T3 Solutions. In this tutorial, you will learn how to assign multiple variables simultaneously and to swap their values in Python 3.8.2. In the previous tutorial, we have learned that variables are just references of the actual memory location. So here, let us take two variables and assign them two values simultaneously. So for that, while assigning, how do we separate two variables? So we need to use comma to separate different variables. So let us take two variables a and b here. What we need to do is that after entering the first variable, you need to use comma to separate them. So here, if I'm taking a, I will use comma after the first variable to separate it from my second variable b. And now we will need to use our assignment operator to assign the values. So in the previous tutorial, when there were only one variable, we directly entered the value after the assignment operator. So now how do we assign the respective values to the variables? It is very simple that first variable will be given the first value and the second variable will be given the second value. So while assigning the value, you would need to separate them using commas. So the first value that comes after the assignment operator, right, that will be assigned to a. So here I'm using a string data type. I will store hello in it. So this is my first value, right? So I would need to use comma to separate it, and then I will enter the second value. So I will store Python in my second variable. So the first variable a will be assigned with the first value hello, and the second variable b will be assigned with the second value Python. And now let's hit enter to assign them. So as you can see, it has been assigned. So now how do we print the multiple variables using the same command simultaneously? So we need to use the print command, and inside the parenthesis it is same like how we assign. Just enter the two variables and separate them using commas. So a comma second variable b. And now, right, while printing, the first variable a will be displayed first and the second variable will be displayed after a space. So when we hit enter, you can see that the values of two variables have been displayed together with a space in between them. Hello is a value of first variable and Python is a value of second variable. In order to swap their values, right, we need to assign Python to a, hello to b. So we can't just directly assign it from beginning, which means that we cannot assign b is equal to hello. We can't do that. Okay, we would need to swap the values that have already been stored. So we in order to store b in a, right, we will enter a is equal to b. So this is very similar. This command a is equal to b, right, is same as a is equal to Python. That is because when we mention any variable on the RHS, right, Python will check what that reference of memory stands for, what that variable stands for. It will go to the address of the location, it will take the data stored in it, and it will then do the further proceedings. So this is same as a is equal to Python. So now swapping their values have become impossible because while we assign a is equal to b, right, the value of a have now become value of b, that is Python, and also the value of b is also Python. So this is why a is equal to b stands for a is equal to Python, not hello is equal to Python, because Python does not care if a is already stored or if a is already used as a reference of any other value. It just keep updating with the latest value that we give to the same variable. The earlier values given to the variable will be erased and the new values will be given to the variable. now we cannot swap them. So let's take another example. I'm creating a variable called name, and now I'm storing a string data type, and I'm creating another variable called age, and the data type of this variable will be integer, and I'm storing on age. So here we need to swap their values, right? So in the previous example, when we directly assigned the data of second variable to the first variable, the initial value of the first variable has been erased. That is, so as you can see in the first example, initially the data of the variable a was hello, and then the value of b was Python. And for swapping, we have used the wrong command, that we assigned b to a, but we couldn't assign a to b. So we could assign b's value, that is Python, to a. So a's current value became Python. But unfortunately, we couldn't assign hello, that is a's initial value, to b's final value. So what happened was, both the variable a and b contain the same value, that is Python. So now another question arises. Since both the variables have the same value now, will they both have the same memory location? Yes, they do. As you can see here, ID of A has the same location as ID of B. So now we can understand that all variables having the same value stored in it will have the same address of the memory. Now let's look how to swap two variables properly. So let's just take John and 10 as the values, and name and age as its variables. Here, in order to call the previous commands, right, I have used Alt P, that is a shortcut for calling the previous commands. So now we have two variables, name and age, and we have the values John with data type string and 10 in integer form. So now let's look how to swap their values properly. Now let's swap their values. In the first case, we could assign only one of the variable, right? So what we must do here is very simple. We need to assign two variables to the opposite of two variables. So we can take name comma age here, and what we need to do here is we need to assign 10 to be stored in name. So we will take the variable name of the data 10. What is the variable name of data 10 here? Age. And now we need to store name. Now we will assign name to the second variable in this statement, that is age. So here, as we have mentioned before, Python does not care if we have already assigned this variable earlier. Instead, it will just update the variable with the latest value given. So here we can see the first variable name will be assigned the value of age. That is the first value after the assignment operator. And the second variable age will be assigned the second value that comes after the assignment operator. So in this case, age will be assigned the value of name. So now let's see what are the final values of name and age. So the final value of variable age will be the initial value of the variable name. So in this case, age will be assigned the string John. whereas the final value of name will be the initial value of age. That is, 10 would be assigned to name. And now here we can see that Python checks the value of the variables in the RHS, but it does not care on the LHS. That is because Python does not care if the variables are already used for any other values before. Instead, it just keeps updating with the latest values. So now let's see the output and check if our values are swapped properly. Let's assign this value by hitting enter. Now let's print the values of name and age to check if they have been swapped. Let's print name comma age. Yes, as you can see here, name has been given the value 10 and age has been given the string value John. So the values are swapped. So this is the end of this tutorial. See you in next tutorial.